Hello everyone, and welcome to What You Want to Know Wednesday. And I suspect that what you want to know at this moment is, why do I sound like a talking frog? The answer is, it's just that time of year, and I'm sure a lot of you can commiserate. If you can't commiserate, count yourself lucky. And good news, it's not contagious through a video. So I've gotten a whole lot of questions, which I'm really going to condense down to two. What do judges do? Why do we care? And to make sure that what could be a boring topic isn't, we're going to think about the fact that we're about to go into the month of Halloween, and I'm going to answer the question in the same way as a horror movie. Every horror movie has the same three acts. Act 1, setting the stage. That's when all of our teenagers end up in the house and they're having fun and they're up to no good, but they're not fearing anything until the lights go out. And they think, well, maybe it was a power outage. But when they go to check the breaker box and they discover that the electrical lines have been cut and the back door is open, they feel this ominous sense of dread that maybe there's an intruder in the house. Act 2, there's an intruder in the house. They don't know who the intruder is, they don't know what they want, but they know that the intruder has a great deal of power and can do a great deal of harm for them. That's when you get all the scares and the screaming and the surprises. And it's very alarming, edge of your seat stuff until we get to Act 3. That's when our teenagers find a way to flee the house to safety and they breathe a sigh of relief, at least until the sequel comes out. Judicial races are the same as that horror movie, which sounds crazy. It's not. Act 1. You go into the voting box. The stuff at the top is pretty easy, straightforward stuff. Governor, president, county commissioner. You know what those jobs are. You know who the people are who are running. Those are easy questions on the test. Then you get down to the bottom. And all of a sudden, it's all these courts and these people you've never heard of. And you're not real sure what these courts do or who these people are. And you get that ominous sense of dread that you might be letting an intruder in the house. Act 2. You could be letting an intruder in the house. These are people who are running for judge, and if they achieve their goal, will have a tremendous amount of power. How much? Lots. District court judges have the power to take away the things that matter to you most. Your money, your property, your home, your kids, your reputation, your freedom, even your life. Ominous sense of dread is fair. So what is it that judges actually do? How do they exercise that power? Well, judges hear cases. And all a case is it's a dispute between people that can't be resolved on its own, and it has to be taken to the court to get it resolved. There's a whole different kinds of cases, different kinds of disputes. Criminal cases, where the district attorney thinks that a crime has been committed and that Joe defendant has committed it. Or a family case, a divorce case where we're dividing property and rights with children. Or civil cases, which is what the 284th District Court handles. And those are cases where people are suing each other. They're suing each other for money. They're suing each other for injunctions, which are court orders that require someone to do something. Sometimes they're simple, sometimes they're complicated, but they always put at risk for the litigants their property, their money, their reputation, their freedom. These are big powers. So how does a judge handle a case? Well, we're going to shift from the horror movie and start talking about basketball games, because it's the same concept. In a basketball game, we have the tip-off, we have the game that goes on with referees calling fouls, or whether something's a three-point shot, or whether the 3-second rule was violated, until we finally get to the final score at the end of the game and the whistle blows. Same thing with a court case. The person who's the plaintiff, let's say Paul Plaintiff, files a petition. That's where he tells the court, here's what my dispute is. I think that Donna defendant breached her contract with me, and it cost me $50,000. Then Donna defendant answers that lawsuit and says, I didn't breach the contract. It was Paul Plaintiff who breached it, and he cost me $25,000. That's the tip-off. Now the game is underway. The judge will decide a lot of mini disputes along the way as we lead up to the trial. The trial is when we reach a final resolution of the case. But up to that point, there's a lot of little mini disputes that a judge has to decide. Like, is someone entitled to get documents from the other side that they've asked for? Or is an expert really qualified to testify? The judge makes those decisions all along the way, which steers the way that the game is played, just like a referee does. And you know, if you've ever complained about bad calls from referees, think about what it would mean if you're getting bad calls from judges. It's critically important that you get good judges making good calls. So then we finally get to the trial. That's when we put the whole thing on the table and make a final decision about whether Paul plaintiff wins or Donna defendant wins. The trial can be to a jury. And if it is, the jury is going to decide the facts of the case. The jury considers all the evidence and decides what happened. They're asked a series of questions at the end, which they answer, and that dictates what happened. And let's say the jury says Donna defendant didn't breach the contract, but Paul plaintiff did, and it cost her $25,000 in damages. That's called the verdict. The judge then takes that, plugs those facts into the law, and signs a judgment that reflects what the law dictates Donna defendant will get. Paul plaintiff is going to be very unhappy because now he owes her $25,000. She can force the sale of his property. These are big issues. Now, sometimes cases are tried to the bench, in which case the judge makes the decision about the facts of the case, about what happened. But whether it's to the bench or to the jury, the judge is still deciding those little mini disputes, those foul calls, all along the way throughout the trial. Objection, hearsay. The judge decides whether it is or isn't. If it is, it stays out. If it isn't, it comes in, and that can change the whole tenor of the case. So again, if you've ever complained about a referee, think about how it would be if you're getting bad calls from judges. Now, I'm a law-abiding citizen, many of you think. I've never had to go in front of a judge, and I don't expect that I will ever have to go in front of a judge. So does any of this really matter to me? And the answer is yes. And to find out why, I'll take you to Act 3, the resolution, next Wednesday. See you then.